Hey, what's going on? My name's Olivia and I make models. So today we are going to make a little cube together. Pretty simple, but we're going to add a lot of cool stuff to it throughout this process. So I'm here today in my home office that I'm lucky enough to have a lot of cool art stuff. So if you haven't already, pause this video and print out, with the help of your parents, the little directions that I made. It's in the description below, and if you can, print double-sided. So this is the front of our cube with all these blue lines, and this is the back with all of these letters. If you can't print double-sided, printing the front is just fine. If you can't print in color, we're going to go over how to build this right now. And you might have seen a lot of other cool stuff around me. We're not just making this cube, we're also going to decorate it, make it look really nice. So I have my colored pencils here, my pinks, my blues, my reds, all organized, so we won't use those later. I also have my colorful stamp set, my paintbrushes, ribbon, all my markers, crayons, and what you want to use is really up to you. So take a moment, pause again, and pull out some of your favorite art supplies. So the first part of this process that we're going to do is just cut this out. So you see on the side here we have black as our cut line. So all we're going to do is cut out along this black line. So I suggest you get some scissors and follow along with me. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just following along, and it's not right on the black line, just as long as it's close. And if you need help from your parents, please go and ask them. Being very careful, going slowly. So I get to do this a lot for my job. Not this exactly, but something close. I get to make lots of cool buildings for clients throughout the year. And sometimes we use paper like this. You're gonna have maybe a little trouble getting into these corners right here. But if you have trouble, ask your parents, or what I suggest is cutting straight down and then cutting another little strip right next to it. And instead of turning, just kind of snip into that corner in tiny little snippets. And then you can pull your piece out. So snipping, snipping. I also have around me today a few of my favorite little toys. So hopefully we can make a little scene together with some animals. I have my little squirrely guy right here. He's one of my favorites. I love that guy. I have my little elf guy right here. And of course, my favorite, Eggy boy. He's very cute. He's a little camera shy though. I had to convince him to come out here to play with you guys. Okay, so we have all this scrap material. You don't have to throw that away yet, but let's put it off to the side. Okay, so we should have our square. If I went too quickly, go ahead and pause the video and catch up with me, okay? So we have these blue lines on the front, And we have red lines and green lines on the back. Now what does that mean? So if you look at the printout, the blue lines are mountain lines and the red lines are valley lines. Now what does that mean? Think about a mountain. A mountain makes an upside down V. So that's what we're gonna do with our paper. We're gonna fold it so we make an upside down V. And it looks kind of like a mountain. So for all these blue lines, we're gonna make an upside down V. And the best way I like to do that is actually flip it upside down. So, going to fold it like this. My first little tab right here. And I'm gonna use my fingers to press it out. And I'm gonna go ahead and fold in all of these tabs as my first step. So here's my second tab. And if you're having trouble folding, kind of pressing it down lightly with your fingers helps a bit. It doesn't have to be perfect, like I said. Pressing it down lightly. And we're using the corners of the paper to guide our fold. Okay, cool. We're almost done with this part. Okay, so we have all of our tabs folded down, and what we have left is just the piece of our cube. So I'm going to continue to fold in the pieces that's going to make our little cube. So on this side we have a mountain line. Fold. I'm going to press it down first lightly, and then I'm going to run my finger across it. And if you're uncomfortable doing that, like I said, you can also pat it down. You don't have to run your finger across it. Let's see. And if I'm going too quick, pause the video. Okay. Because I do this so much, I might be going a little too fast. So, fantastic. We have all of our fold lines. So if we press this loosely together, we start making a cube. Almost. We have to hold it together right. But before we do that, let's think about what we want to draw on this. So as a model builder, I build towns, I build cities, I build little wooden castles like this. So think about what this cube wants to be. I think I'm gonna get my colored pencils out. And one of my favorite colors is green. What's your favorite color, by the way? Why don't you choose that color for the next step? So I think this is gonna be the bottom of my cube. You can't really tell what's the bottom of this, but just for me, I'm gonna say this is the bottom. So I'm gonna X it out. Ooh. And I think I'm gonna draw some grass around the edge. So once this is all folded up, we're gonna have some grass growing around the side of our cube, hopefully. And if you want to add in some flowers maybe, like this. So I'm drawing some grass, I'm drawing some flowers in. Just whatever makes you happy. And maybe I'll draw in a window. I think a circular window would look nice. If you have a pet, why don't you draw in your pet? Let's see. I don't have any pets. Oh, that's not true. I have fish. I have fish upstairs. I think I'll draw my fish. My fish are guppies, and they're orange. So I think I might draw my fish on the side of here. Guppies look a little strange. They look a little slinky. They're long, almost like worms, but they have a big, heavy head. So I'm going to draw my little guppy guy. And I think I'm going to draw him in water, because that's where he needs to go. So this side of the house, it's just going to be water. But if you have a different pet, why don't you draw in your pet in your little boxy house? Okay. I think I'll just keep drawing grass. I really like grass. Ooh, and maybe I'll put a tree in here. Yeah. Big, big tree. If you prefer using crayons, use crayons. If you like using paint, use paint. You can see here that I have some paper down, so if you use paint, make sure you cover your workspace so it's all clean once you're done. Okay, so I have a few designs around my sides, and this is going to be the top. I'll just write it down here so I remember. T-O-P. This will be the top of my little cube. Oh no, my eggy man! I'll get you back up there. This is why he's camera shy. He's a little clumsy. Okay, so I'm going to put these off to the side for now. And what we're going to do to assemble this is use some double-sided tape. You could also use glue if you want. You could also use single-sided tape. This is just regular old Scotch tape, nothing special. You don't need a lot of crazy tools to make some cool stuff. So, I think the first side I'm going to assemble is this tree side. So I'm going to take my double stick tape and line it along these tabs. Okay, cool. So you can see I have tape that's just next to my blue line. I don't want to go over the blue line because then it's going to cover up the face of my square. So if you look on the other side, I didn't point this out yet, but you can see that these tabs are labeled. So C and C. What that means is these two tabs, C and C, go together. And if you look here, you can see A and A are the same, which means this tab goes on to this face of the model. So we're going to use the letters on the back side of this to figure out how to fold up this square. So I'm going to gently press it together. And the great thing about double stick tape is if you don't get it perfect, you can just pull it apart really easily and reposition it. So I'm going to attach C to C. Okay. And where does this B to B go? I have B here, and I have B on the inside of my tab. So these two are going to get stuck together. So you don't need a lot of force, just lightly tap these together. Now, if you don't want to use double stick, or you don't have any double stick, you can also very easily just tape on the outside of your tab. So I'm going to tape this to the front. So the tabs don't have to be on the inside here, but I like putting them on the inside so it looks like a perfect cube. But if you don't want to, or maybe you have some really colorful tape that you want to show on the outside, tape it on the outside. There's no rules here. Okay. So, my last few pieces are D and E and G to G, whatever that means. So I'm going to put tape on the outside of my tab. This is my little window corner. And I'm going to tape this. Awesome. And then I want to put one piece of double stick on the outside of this tab. Putting it together for the final steps can be kind of tricky because you can't press too hard or else you'll squish your model. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to gently squeeze this so it makes kind of a U shape. So that way I can press this in and the tabs won't immediately, hopefully at least, immediately touch the sides of the box. So, and then once it's together, I'm going to lightly tap. You don't want to press it and squeeze it together because then you might squish your model. So here we go. Here's our first model. You've made your first professional architectural model. We have a window, we have a little side for your pet, we have a tree side, and we don't have anything on this side yet, but maybe we can draw something. So we have two squares right here, and we're not done yet. I actually made a ton of these in advance. So this is fun to have a lot of them, because then you can start to build a town. You can start building your own blocks, start building your own pieces, and maybe these blocks all represent something different. So I think I'm going to pull out a marker. And I don't know what I want to draw. I just want to draw some cool shapes. Ooh. So I made this kind of lattice thing. I think maybe I'll draw, these kind of look like mountains to me. Maybe I'll draw an ocean on the other side. So these don't have to be perfect buildings, but you could just draw on things that you like. Maybe this is a big mural on this side. Maybe on the other side, this is more like an office building. So I'm going to try to draw some square windows. Cool. So I have some windows right here. And we can start adding on some different stuff to this. It doesn't have to be a square. Maybe we could add something like a roof to it. So maybe, let's see how this would work. I'm going to fold my sticky note in half. And if you have some extra paper, you can use your scissors and cut it out. So I made, look, it's a mountain fold. And I think I'm going to tape that to one of my boxes. I'm going to cover up my top box, I think. There we go. And start making a little roof. And this is nice because if you have toys, you can start, oh no, making little scenes for these guys. My little elf man, this could be his house. You could even cut into these if you want. So I think I'm going to disassemble one side very carefully. Just pull it apart. Because I use sticky tape, I can do that. And I revealed an open tab here. So I snipped off my little tab, and I think I'm going to cut in a big door. So now I have a big door to let in guests. And I think I have some guests that want to come in. So I have a bunch of little people here that I've painted. You could also use your dolls. So when we're building big architectural models, we put in people like this to make the models look more real. But now, I have this perfect little door for my little girl to go into. Boop, 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 boop. And put her in here. And that's probably her home. And I could start decorating that home. With some big yellow windows. Maybe a triangular window here. So my triangular window. So, I hope you enjoyed making these little cubes together. If you make enough, you can start making your whole little city here. And remember, in the link description to this video, I have a little download of a printable piece of paper that you can use to make your own little squares. And if you don't have a printer, try just folding pieces of paper together. Make some cool stuff. There's no rules to this. I just gave you a little direction sheet in case you wanted to follow on step by step. But don't worry about it. Be creative and make your own thing. And thank you very much for being a part of this first series in making a mini paper city.